and see what happens. Why players quit BDO? Okay. Why do players quit
Folks, for
BDO?
anyone who's tuning in right now, what we're going to talk about is why people are quitting BDO. And
Let's see
before we
why.
get started with that, let's talk about the positives. Let's talk about what's good about BDO, why people should play it, right? One thing that's really notable for me, which is really important in MMORPGs, is they have a massive diversity in classes. I always say this, when an MMORPG comes out, they better have a decent number of options.
Yeah, I can see
because
that.
it's really important for an MMORPG to have multiple classes, because the game itself is not going to sustain
But
us.
I feel like every
content.
MMO...
Like, look at World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, all of these games, like, after you play it for a certain amount of time, you've done the raids, you've done the dungeons, then what, right? But if you play a new class, if you play a different class, it gives you a complete different perspective at sometimes, like, for example, going from a healer to a tank.
Well, but that always feels...
playing
I feel like
with differing play
that...
styles, for example.
Okay. I see what he means, but no MMO is gonna make it, or MMORPG is gonna make it if they don't have different classes. I feel like diverse class is a given, but most of the time people complain about on classes is the specifics. For example, on WoW, people complain that the specs or specializations seem too similar. For example, or seem too similar, or they just seem like a whole other class. So, for example, before, a mage, an ice, frost mage and a fire mage felt completely different. But to a point that it felt like two different classes, and the moment you switched to another one, you felt like you needed to switch everything about your character just to play it, which is not what specialization should do. They should improve your class, not make a new class. That's the most complaints people have. You don't see people complaining, oh, Warlock seems too similar to Mage, or Druid just seems, Feral Druid is just another rogue. No, it's different playstyles as well. For example, a Feral Druid will go more for heals and more specific plays, and it can also face tank, while a rogue cannot. That kind of stuff. I don't feel like people complain too much about diverse class.
Going from a ninja to a wizard, you know what I mean? Let's go to the next reason, right? BDO is a game of freedom. Like, it doesn't push you down a single route. You don't have to do the main story quest line if you don't want to. You don't have to do any of the quests if you don't want to. You can just go out and grind. If you don't want to grind, you can go be a life skiller. If you don't want to do life skills, go freaking be a barterer. I mean, that's technically a life skill, but it's a different lifestyle in general. BDO gives you the freedom, and you can still progress and get your gear and stuff. So that is a big plus point, because not everyone wants to play the game the same way. Not everyone's interested in the same content. That is a really big plus point. Very few games give you that. That is really important, because it's an MMORPG. MMORPG is about freedom. It's about exploring. It's about making friends and talking to people, seeing people. Having that freedom is so essential. Not to say a game which doesn't have that kind of freedom is not good.
This is actually pretty true. BDO is the only MMO that I've played so far that allows me to basically do what I want in certain ways. As in, like, imagine if I want to do PvP, I can't just do PvP. You just can't. There's not really a way that you can have tiers of PvP. For example, on WoW, starting level 15, you can starting level 10, you can PvP. And while on BDO, it's level 50. If I'm not mistaken, well, it doesn't take too much to level to 50, but listen. You're gonna get rolled. Because everyone else is gonna have IAP, everyone else is just gonna know their character more than you. It's very rare that you're actually gonna have level 50 PvP. At least that's my experience. And there's no real point to PvP, because you'll lose karma. You'll lose, unless they attack you first. I don't know exactly the two specifics about karma, because you don't know what karma is. It's this thingy here. Okay. Initiating attack on another adventure. So, if you start the PvP, you get punished. Wait. Yeah. So essentially, you get punished because your XP will fucking suck. Then there's a chance that you lose enhancement levels if you have negative karma. Then you lose your crystals. So basically, you can start losing items if you do too much PvP, which is like understandable. It's like to avoid griefers, but at the same time, why are you getting punished for a game style? You know, the thing is, most of the times, you're not gonna even fight the other player because they also need to have PvP enabled, right? You can't just turn on PvP and attack a player that isn't PvP. I might be wrong on that, but that's how I think it works. Unless you're in a guild war, which you're automatically like flagged for each other, but you don't lose karma on those ones.
Good, but it really works in BDO's favor because it's an open world sandbox game. They really
Yeah.
stuck with that. You know, they had many people asking, yo, let's do dungeons.
One thing also that I want to add is the reason that video has so much like longevity because the game is so time getting in gold or in silver on this game and on luck. For example, you saw me early on the stream if you were here. I was farming blood wolves for a purple Katugunak or whatever it's called for the infinity pod. I've been farming that shit for almost a week and nothing. I have dropped Katugunaks, but I haven't dropped the purple one, which makes it kind of annoying because you would assume that the more you farm certain mobs, the slowly but surely you'll get more higher chances. But it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's always the same chance, same thing every mob. So you basically have to keep on grinding, keep on grinding, grind, and just suffer. But once you get it, you'll feel good. But until you get the item that you want, such as a reagent for the infinity pod, or you're killing Kazarak, I think that's no Karanda, I think that's the name of the bird, and you get your dandelion. Until you get those items that basically make the high AP brackets, you're gonna feel like shit unless you get silver.
And stuff.
Because then
But,
you can
know,
just
how
buy
long
it.
did they hold on to being an open world sandbox game, huh? There is like some instance technology, like for example, when a Dark Rift opens up, there's like a mini instance right there, but it's not like a pure instance style game. It's still in the open world. All right. What's next? The graphics are fucking amazing. Remastered mode? Like, how many games actually follow through with updating their graphics like BDO?
True. One thing that also that first got me into BDL was how cool the abilities looked. That's one of the reasons as to also why I'm playing Corsair. Corsair just seems like a fun character. Just wait, give me a second. I already got here. I didn't expect to get here this early. But anyways, I'll just park here. BDO was just such a nice looking game. The customization options are basically limitless because you can do whatever the fuck you want with the characters. Big booba, small booba, big ties, small ties, that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of options and customizations that really allows you to get a freedom of this game. And the graphics overall, like the skill effects, they're beautiful. Sometimes they blind me. That's because I'm actually half blind and I just can't handle it. And my computer started slaying with all the skill effects. But yeah, definitely, this is definitely
Remaster looks amazing. Like, how many games can actually say they match up to BDO's graphics, huh? Very few. So there is an issue with the whole graphic system, is that FPS equals DPS, which I absolutely hate, but it is what it is.
one thing that what was I gonna say? One thing that I'm also surprised with BDO is how good their servers are most of the time. For what I know, desync on PvP is a thing. I can't talk too much about it because I've barely had any PvP that it was a fair fight. Because every time I had to get one shot or I one shot the other player, it wouldn't. I never had a proper PvP fight. Well, I just lost my spawn, but I can always change into a season server. But yeah, servers compared to WoW, 10 out of 10. Like the servers are massive. Cybernetic, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. Really appreciate it, man. But yeah, as I was saying, on WoW, you get like 20 people in the same area, the servers start dying, dude. They just start going downhill. They can't get better. And it feels weird because you would assume WoW, after like 15 years or whatever it is, of knowing how servers work and stuff, would just not have that. But no, they're just awful. Well, on BDO, we have like 40 people doing Bloodstorm Maneuver, and the only thing that crashes is my FPSs because of the skill effects. So yeah, continue. Let's go.
I mean, that's just the nature of the beast here, right? But, you know, it is a plus point that the game has amazing graphics. On top of that, it has really good combat. I'm not going to say it's the best combat or it's amazing combat. It's good combat. It's really fluid.
The only thing I have against the combat on BDO is the PvP, is who gets the stun the most. Who is lucky. There's also skill in that. Of course, you can always like the outplays of blocks and stuff. But most of the times, who gets the stun first tends to win first.
It's impactful,
Or win
it's
the most.
flashy, looks nice, it feels good. I really like the combat.
Because
I
of
think
the
it's
scaling of
best out
down
any
attacks.
Action combat games. There are some other games which are pretty notable from a technical standpoint, which do match up or excel in certain aspects. But I think BDO's graphics are freaking phenomenal. But yeah, the FPS issue is really bad. I wish that wasn't a thing, but I don't think there's anything they can do about it. For all the flack that we gave Cacao and Pearl Abyss, overall the publishing was pretty good. In terms of tickets and how the tickets were handled, I'd say Cacao was better. Their policy was a lot more for the players sort of thing, that they
I can't give it out in my
overall.
I can't give my opinion on this because I just don't know too much. Never had a customer support kind of issue yet. Don't know much. I just know I think this is like the third time this game changed publisher, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be wrong.
Overall, both of them are pretty good with the customer service point of view, in my opinion. They're constantly looking to update quality of life stuff, which very few games do. Like, if you guys played other MMORPGs, how many other MMORPGs go out of their way to do freaking quality of life updates? Very few. Anyway, those are like all points that we can attribute to why, you know.
I played WoW without having a patch for 9 months, so yeah. It's nice to see a company that actually updates their game, even if it's small things, every other week.
People would like to play BDO, why BDO is a good game. But there are quite a few flaws, and obviously, like, whenever we're complaining about something, we're more likely to complain about something rather than talk good about something, right? That's just the nature of our human psychology. We're more likely to go and give a bad review than a good review, right? So let's talk about the flaws. Let's talk about exactly what reasons like really drive away players. It's not like the hard and fast reasons. I mean,
first reason, the game seems too complex overall. When I came like last week or something like that, and I first started playing the game, I was just overwhelmed, and I still get overwhelmed, surprisingly. I feel like there's so much. When you first get put in, you get all these rewards. First of all the dailies, the loyalty kind of stuff. You have the challenges, and then maybe you have events like the dice that I just had now. Like if you don't spend a good enough time every day just on this game, you're gonna get overwhelmed, you're gonna get confused, you're gonna lose notion of what you're doing, and that kind of stuff. And this also kind of relates to the first point that he made, that BDO is a free, like a free park that you can do whatever you want. For beginner players, that's not a possibility, because a new player is not gonna know the grinding spots. A new player is not gonna know how to do their skills properly. They have to follow the main quest. If they don't follow the main quest, they're gonna get rolled, they're not gonna have fun. They're gonna keep dying to mobs, they're gonna keep losing XP, and then they're gonna quit. Because they're like, okay, why am I doing this? I'm only getting L's. They told me this is a free way to do. I can do whatever I want, but yet when I try to do whatever I want, I get rolled. It's that kind of stuff. And yeah,
These
you
aren't
have to
the end all
immerse
be
yourself.
all
You
sort
like
of
have to
thing. Everyone
spend so
has
much
their own
time on
reason.
it.
Everyone had their own experiences. Everyone's been through like a different route, but for the most part, these are all things that
Until this, even today, I still have to do a lot of questions, especially on season stuff. My first character was not a season character, even though it should have been, but I'm dumb. My Musa was not a season character, so when I made a season one, and people were telling me, oh, you can get free Tuvala gear and that kind of stuff. Oh, you get do this, then you get pan gear, and then if after you get that pan gear, you get even gear that's better, and you do this, and then after you get everything done with that season character, you can duplicate it and make another level 61 character of whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, how? And then they have to explain you the timepiece, which when you for some reason every time you ask about it on server chat, they always tell you just to fucking read the tooltip, but it isn't just like that. The tooltip explains it, but it's still confusing. Another beginner thing, confusion
have
stuff.
irritated us or, you know, pushed us over the edge and made us really hate the game at times. So let's talk about the most common thing people will complain
RNG, I
about.
bet.
Videos pay to win. Now, in terms of pay to win, for me, it depends.
Like, it's like I've said this multiple times on stream. It's pay to win, but it could definitely be way worse. It's pay to win in a way that the amount of convenience that paying for this game gives you is just too good to not have. For example, you have the tent. You having a tent will help you so much maintaining a grinding spot. You can keep going on there for hours just because you have a tent while someone else has to go to a city near them just to sell their stuff and restore their stuff. For example, I keep always having a problem, which is I want to get stuff from my storage when I'm 10 miles away, and I pick up my maid and try to get my stuff, but I don't have enough maids or butlers to do that. So I'm always like, fuck, now I have to like wait 50 something minutes just for the transport to get here because I don't want to go all the way to Adal and then come back to Duvan Kroon just to get like my scrolls. It's that kind of stuff. You know, it's like the amount of convenience is just insane.
Depends on the definition.
And
Who's
cronstones.
defining pay to win? There's a few definitions. For example, if I am able to convert real life money into in-game currency, and because I could potentially
indirectly
put in
do that.
thousands of dollars and get a lot of in-game currency immediately, that puts me ahead of other players, and therefore it's pay to win. That's one definition. Another definition is if I don't pay X amount of money, I am going to be gated at this content and I cannot proceed. That's another definition, right? Like, for example, there's a game called Fiesta Online by Gamigo, right? I used to play that like
Never heard of it.
2009, 2010, on and off just for fun. That game was the most pay to win game because the end game dungeons, the end game raids, everything end game you wanted to do, you had to be using the cash shop buffs, which gave you 70% damage and defense. Without those buffs, you get one tap. There's no way you're going to be doing any of that content. So the game is gating you, saying you have to buy these buffs in order to experience this content and in order to farm these dungeons. Therefore, that is extremely pay to win, right? There is no like alternative route to be like, I'm a non-pay to win player. So like in BDO, there is the route that you can go without spending a dime on the cash shop and still, you know, eventually get your gear. It takes you a lot longer. Like there are things that you can't get, for example, like the tent. There's no way to get the tent. There's no way to get the additional weight that other players can buy off the cash shop. So there are pay to win aspects which will drive away an ordinary player. Is what it is. Like you can play the game without spending.
This is what I was saying, like with the convenience factor. It's like you can, I mean, I can get the same gear as anyone else, even if I don't spend a single dime on this game. But when it would take some people at maximum like 3 days, for some, most likely for me it's gonna take 1 week or 2 weeks. Just because of the nature of the grinding and that kind of stuff.
Money, but it's going to take you longer to progress. But at the same time, you can get to the point where you're, you know, matching the players who have spent money, right? So it can be categorized as pay to win, but it's not the end of the day. That
It's the time gating thing. It's the amount of time and effort that one has to put compared to a person that can also put money on it. A person that doesn't put money has to put 2 times or 3 times more effort than a pay to winner. That someone has bought stuff on the cash shop. That's that's why I consider BDO somewhat pay to win. It could be worse, and could be like other games. I'm not gonna mention them.
Alone is
But
enough to drive
yeah,
players away. Like, if I talk about BDO in another game, like with a guild of mine or something, they're like, yeah, I tried to play BDO, but that's too pay to win for me. And I completely understand. When did it become normalized to spend $1,000 on a game versus the old days when you just buy the base game for like 40 bucks, 50 bucks?
me every time that I play WoW and WoW releases a new expansion that is like $70, even though you're already paying for a subscription.
And then you pay like a monthly subscription. Like, when did it become a normal thing to spend like 5 to 10 times more for a game and get like less service than we used to? 10 years ago, like
This
when I
man
was
just
playing
define
World of Warcraft, with
being
any
yeah.
issue, I could immediately get into chat. You know, when Shadowlands came out, I remember I used a lot live chat and they helped me out immediately too. Like, I'm not spending $1,000 for World of Warcraft. I think I might have spent at most 200 with all the expansions and the subscriptions I paid for. Because after a while, you're able to buy the subscription with in-game currency, which wasn't hard to do. So, you know, I don't.
Yeah, WoW token is a controversial one, needless to say. I wish instead of them making WoW token into a fucking pay to win system, made it just so that people that don't have a lot of money can get a way to just get game time. That's the thing that I wish more games did the same, or at least subscription-based games, where you get rewarded with game time because of the time that you're spending with them. WoW token kind of does that, but it's being used for nefarious reasons because of gold buying, and then now everything on the fucking looking for group system is just carries, and no one's actually doing it properly.
Understand when it became normalized that, you know, $1,000 on a game or $1,500 is a normal thing. I don't think it's a normal thing. I
It
think that's
isn't.
fucking expensive. Like, I don't want to spend like 20-30 bucks for a costume. I don't think I should be paying a monthly subscription but also have to buy like XYZ buffs, and then on top of that, I need my pets, I need my costume, I need that luminous buff and all that stuff. It's really expensive. And that is a reason why people eventually say, you know, I'm in too deep, or they say enough is enough, I quit. So, you know, like I said, it depends on the definition. It depends on how you define pay to win. And that's where a lot of the argument is. The differentiator is just the definition. So I'll leave that definition to you. I mean, you're the individual. It's your money. It's your time. That's the most precious thing, right? Your time that you're going to be spending. So you define what pay to win.
Okay, I'm reading the chat, and this person said it's not really pay to win, it's pay to not have the inconvenience. If a game is designed with an inconvenience, and then allows that inconvenience that was designed to be fixed with a paid method, that's pay to win. And poor design on my point of view. But the thing that I allow BDO to have more of a cash shop than WoW is because BDO doesn't have a subscription. If BDO was a subscription-based MMO, the amount of stuff on the cash shop would be way too ridiculous and way too much, and they shouldn't allow that. But since it is sometimes it's even free to play for some reasons, I got told that. When I bought this game, it was like 20 euros, something like that. So yeah. But like I was saying, when you get a game and the game is let me bump this up a bit. When a game is designed with an inconvenience to benefit people that pay, that's a pay to win design. And it's not to not have any inconvenience.
And
It's
if it works for you, it works for you.
remove
It's
a
your
feature that
definition.
was
It's your
purposely put
choice,
there.
but it is something that a lot of people, if you ask them, have you ever played BDO, they'll say, no, I never tried it, it's too pay to win, or I tried it and I didn't want to play it because it was pay to win. All right, what is another thing that people really hate about this game? For what the game is, and I know they can't really resolve this issue, but desync really pisses people off, man. It's rough. I don't think they can do anything about it, but you know, they can take it into consideration. When they release Nova, when they release Hassashin, when they released Sage, I don't think they took into consideration what desync is for us. I'm like, you're releasing these classes which are getting faster and faster, who are...
This is something that I can't talk too much because, like I said, I haven't done enough PvP to just say what I can say about desync. One thing that I can imagine is just having more specific servers. Instead of just having an overhaul server for EU, having like EU West, EU Northeast, EU Center, or NA Center, NA East, NA West, that kind of stuff. That would be more expensive for Paralabis, of course, but it would allow them to partially fix the desync. But since it's a Korean MMO, I highly doubt that they'll do that.
Absolutely cracking
Because it's not their main
movement, and we
servers.
have desync. Like, come on. Desync is something that has not been resolved. I don't know. I can't say for certainty that it's something that cannot be resolved. At the very least, you can take certain steps to ensure it doesn't get out of hand, right? Like when you keep making these classes which are going at lightning speed, like literally lightning, the freaking Sage is lightning. As they keep releasing these faster and faster classes, desync is going to happen more. It's something that is very noticeable in BDO because not many games go as fast paced as BDO and MMORPG. This is an open world game, so it is a difficult thing to do. In an instance game, it's probably less so. And not many games have this much mobility to a class. Like an action combat game like Blade and Soul doesn't have this much movement, right? So desync is something that's like pretty synonymous with BDO. And for players who played the game for hundreds of hours, gearing up, and then when they're trying to like PvP and have fun enjoying that, and they keep getting hit by a desync, it pisses them off, man. While there's not much we can do about it, at least you can take into consideration when you're designing a class, if you're giving them so much mobility, you gotta know it's gonna happen more often, right? How about the RNG? I've never tapped a pen. The only thing I've tapped, which is pricey, is my Pegasus at 38 stacks. This game's RNG is absolutely nuts. Enhancing
awful.
RNG to the core.
For some reason, the Pen Tubula Awakening, without any any different things, is 3%.
You
That's
can
not
spend
even your
real
best
life
gear.
money. Like you can spend $500 and fail every single one of them. Now, what do you call that? I call that gambling. Let's say you
This
me,
game,
buy all your
definitely.
gear. If I want to buy a disto, I make 300 mil an hour, and that costs 18 billion. I have to grind for 60 hours to get the disto. That's a lot of time, bro. Like, yes, there is the alternative of buying. I wouldn't be playing this game if that alternative didn't exist. I came back to the game when my friends told me they fixed the central marketplace. It's not bidding, it's normal. You just buy what you want. If that wasn't there, I would not be playing.
True. I would not play this game if I knew that I couldn't get a Tad Dandelion on the central market.
This game, I would never have started, but the RNG involved in gearing up is atrocious. Buying a pen accessory, how expensive is that? How many hours do you have to grind to get 80 billion? Like 280 something hours. You know how insane that is? Multiply that number with minimum wage. Like if you're working, you could get like a pretty big fat stack of money right there, right? But you know, that's not a direct equivalency, of course. I mean, we do this in our spare time, but getting to end game, like getting...
Okay, so he said he needed 266 hours. So I don't think you can see this. So you can easily make this count. 266 hours divided by 40, which is a month of... No, it's a week. Oh wait, how many hours is a month? How many hours does a month have? A month has 730 hours. So, at 266 hours, so... This is a good old rule that you can always do. So, let's imagine minimum wage is the good old €650 for us. So 730 hours is a month. And this is, imagine you're basically working every single day. Let's imagine this, no day off, working minimum wage. Okay, I'll fucking, instead of putting like this, I'll just, this would be a 6706. That's 1 day off. It's 92. Let's fuck it. Just let's do this. 672 hours. You had 2 days off on a month for some reason, and then you have 266 hours. You could have made €249 with the amount of time that you farmed. For example,
300 bill.
probably be more because
just do the math on that.
stuff.
300 billion. That's 1,000 hours of 300 mil per hour. Like people say, oh dude, I just life skill. I just sit in Calpheon. I make like 3 bill a day. I know you ain't grinding, but at least you're spending a lot of time. Don't tell me you're just spending an hour a day. You didn't set the entire machine up in just an hour. You spend many hours grinding, right? Yeah, I mean gathering. It is what it is. You take a lot of time to convert that into that silver, or you gamble, both of which are shit. I don't like it one bit. I don't think it's
Getting
normal to
guru
expect
sounds
someone to
almost
grind for
impossible.
like a year. How long does it take to grind for 1,000 hours in this game? If you're dedicated and you
Wait, did he just say how much time does it take to grind for thousands of hours? Huh.
grind it for 4 hours
I
a
think
day,
it takes 1,000 hours
300 mil an hour,
to grind
mind
for
you, it'll
1,000
take
hours.
you like 500, 600 something hours getting to that 300 mil an hour point anyway. It is a very long grind and it's unnecessary. Look, I'm not saying that, hey, we need to go and validate all their gear. I'm just saying that's a reason that people are getting pissed off and quitting. Like, listen, it's nuts. Like, it is absolutely nuts the amount of time it takes to get to that 700 gear score mark, the end game mark. Like, this game shouldn't be that difficult. Like, this game, I think, 8 to 9 months should be what it takes to get to end game gear. Now, people at the 700 gear score are going to
I don't know about that.
no, I spent way more time. So obviously there will be pushback. And I'm not saying, hey, Pearl Abyss, go change this. I'm just saying how the situation is. Anyway, so let's recap. Reasons people quit. Pay to win, the desync, the RNG, the gear progression is stupidly slow. 6 to 9 months to get to endgame gear should be like the max, like 9 months max. I don't think someone should be expected to grind their ass off for like an entire year to get that gear. But, nothing's going to change in that regard. I don't see them changing that.
Okay. So, one somewhat easy fix of the gear, or like the gear progression, is just make the brackets not huge gaps. Like the gaps on each bracket of AP seem so huge. On my Musa right now, which has 239 AP, I'm basically stuck in that gear until I either upgrade all of my my accessories, I fucking know English, or I just buy the gear, because I can't get better gear than North Chilean at the moment, and that's just what I have to deal with, which sucks because I feel like I can't progress on my game unless I get lucky on the world bosses, or if I get enough, or if I put enough time, which is a ridiculous amount of time, to buy one item. Like at the moment, I have like around 1 point something billion almost saved up, and I need 1.7 billion just to buy a 10th dandelion, which is the next upgrade for my weapon. Let me see. Dandelion. For example, let's check on this one, which is the one that I need on my Musa. This cheapest, it's even gone up in price. The cheapest dandelion crescent blade is 1.7 billion, 1.74 billion. And it just keeps going up. It was higher, it dipped down all the way to 167, and it's gone. It's all the way up there. And that's just your main weapon. And let's not even talk about pen, because 17 billion, I highly doubt someone's actually gonna buy it for them. If I do something, if I try to get pen on my dandelion, I would only ever do it with crown stones, and not doing it with crown stones seems like the dumbest thing someone could do. But yeah, you can see how, like, the gap that I have on just one item. Let me check armor. If not mistaken, the next best here is it Griffin? Can't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Griffin because I think my helmet is 69 AP DP. So Griffin tat 2.4 billion. Even more expensive. Not to talk about Black Star helmets because yeah, that's just dumb. Then you also have Deem Trees, which is 2 billion. Then you have Fallen God, which is laughable, needless to say. And you also have Black Star armor, 11 billion. It gets somewhat ridiculous about the prices.
PvP balance. Let's talk about that. Some classes are absolutely nuts, while other classes are absolutely dog shit.
Apparently Musa is dog shit on PvP, and I didn't know that.
Now, people say that because it's a new class, they overbuff it, and they're just trying to make money. I don't think that's the case. I think the older classes, they're tuned for that point in time. So, like, back in the old days, like, you know, Mystic was like one of the best grinders in the game. Musa and Mayweather were actually considered good, but the game was a different place back.
Shy's meta. I was thinking about leveling a Shy, but every time that I talk about getting a Shy, people just say, "Oh, you're getting a milk alt." That's everything that's what I always hear when I talk about making a Shy. Are you just making a milk alt? Good to know, man. And when I made this Corsair, people said, "Oh, so you're making a Vel alt." Now I'm like, dude, come on, man. Can I not make it in my main?
Then, like, we didn't have the kind of end game we have right now. We didn't have a place where you had to do your full damage rotation and then some in order to kill the mobs. Back then, we used to just one tap the mobs. So, like, these older classes fell behind. As they said in one of their recent notes, that they got better at designing the classes. True, like, they are better at designing classes because those new classes are absolutely nuts.
I think Corsair is super cool. I feel like they're missing a specific type of character, which is just a guns blazing combo maniac, which is what I wish Corsair was a bit on the Awakening, because guns, and there's not really a gun person. I was first thinking of getting an archer because he's like long range, high damage, slow. But then he's just so trash apparently. That means our Valk can land. Never tried. I tried a bit of Valk, but I never really leveled it.
They're much more attuned to Hadum grinding.
My characters are Musa, Kuno Ochi, and now the Corsair.
Than a class which came out 3 years ago, you know? I'm gonna hold back on, you know, roasting them on that because they are willing to do the class rework and they're going to, you know, do it week by week, but then they'll release all of them at once after they've been tested. So I'm okay with that. That approach is a good approach. I hope that it works out. So we'll keep a close eye on it. But anyway, like, look, this game isn't perfect, but I would like them to have like this mentality when going forward with new classes, or, you know, doing the class rework.
What is
right?
your
Every
camera,
class
man?
doesn't have to be balanced, but they should have kill potential. When one class is like mechanically superior to another class, like the number of
Come on, man, you
iframes
just
they
straight
have,
up
the
focusing on
amount
the
of
booba.
mobility they have, If one class completely outshines the other class, like, it's kind of unfair. So it doesn't have to be like a direct equivalency. For example, as a mystic, if I fought a ninja and that ninja was playing perfectly and I was playing perfectly, I would run out of stamina before they ran.
Okay. The thing with Corsair, it has long animations that can be cancelled. Let me switch to a season server, just because this place is occupied. If you don't do your combo decently, you're gonna get animation locked. I still need to get better at it, because she has like 2 or 3 abilities that can be used on their own, but if you use them on their own, they're gonna have a cast time. And if you use them with the combo or with the other abilities, they don't. They get instant launch, you get your damage right away, and you don't worry about it. Anyways, about this video. I agree with a lot of what he said. And there's some stuff I can't say much, but once again, just because I just don't have too much experience. This man probably has like thousands of hours wasted on this game. I only have like a few hundred. But things that I noticed the most, graphics. Like I said, the graphics of the game are beautiful, but my poor computer suffers. On the freedom part, only people that have played the game before or have experience on the game can truly have this freedom that Bdo offers. Any other player, you cannot. They just can't. That's what I have to say mostly about that. The verse class selection, I feel like this doesn't feel like it should be a topic, because if you're playing an MMO and that MMO doesn't have diverse classes and the classes feel the same, it's gonna die. It's not gonna make people quit because people won't even play it. Yeah. Anyways, how about we go some farming, lads? Yeah, some good old farming.